Hello and welcome back to Thrillnet and welcome to our first ever vlog from Fantasy Island. Now, as you can see, we're not quite at Fantasy Island yet, but I've got to give credit where credit is due. I thought, why not start this vlog here on our amazing holiday lodge that we're staying in for this trip in the middle of some random forest in the beautiful county of Lincolnshire, which I've never been to in my life until today. And look, we've even got a balcony and everything, which, you know, you can look out into the beautiful forest. Only reason I'm not vlogging out here is obviously because I don't want to disturb the people who are around and stuff. We're staying at a place called Kenwick Park, and I'll definitely do a room tour at the end of this vlog, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And I'll put a link to all the details surrounding this accommodation in the description, so you can check it out if you are interested. Really looking forward to this park. You know, we've got the Odyssey, the tallest Vekoma SLC in the world, to be getting on here. It really is a massive bucket list coaster in the UK that I've not ridden yet. Apart from that, we've also got Millennium as well, which is a Vekoma looping coaster. Hopefully we do get on Odyssey. I know it's a bit like the big one, where it can shut in high winds, but you've got to keep your fingers crossed, haven't you? It is what it is, but Millennium should be really good regardless. And apart from that, looking forward to some of the dark rides as well. I believe the Sea Aquarium ride's quite good, and I believe there's one called Toucan Tours as well, like an Egyptian themed dark ride. In what looks like a really good indoor area, which we need more of in the UK because of our bad weather. And it seems like they've got a few flats as well. Obviously Volcano, an S&S shot tower that's actually working. Shout out Pleasure Beach. You know, obviously Ice Blast isn't open at the moment. But yeah, without further ado, we'll cut to the park footage now. I'm really excited, and I'll obviously share my final thoughts at the end of the vlog. So here we are then at Fantasy Island, just getting a shot here of Odyssey we've just been on, and yeah, first ever time, and I have to say it was very good. Yeah, the restraints on there are very different to other SLCs. There's obviously two others in this country, Infusion and Kamali. They have big bulky things like over the shoulder harnesses, but this has a bit more of a traditional restraint, similar to what you'd get on, you know, a B&M or just, you know, some of the Vekoma sit-down coasters. And I think that helps a lot because it's a smaller area to bang your head on. This ride does still have head banging, but not quite as much as Infusion. And they're also quite soft as well, so when you do get head banging, it's not quite as bad as if you were to get it on, you know, Infusion or any B&M. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. You know, quite forceful, a bit rough with the headbanging and stuff. Kamali's definitely still smoother, and personally more forceful as well, so I'd say I do prefer Kamali still. But, you know, it was decent. It may make my top 10 UK coasters. It was a mid-train ride, and you know, you can't always judge it from one ride, so may climb further later on. But yeah, we just got here and done that, and now we are going to go and check out some other rides in the park, including the stuff inside. Probably do Millennium next actually, so yeah, I'll chat to you later. But first impressions of this place, it's really good, and I think Blackpool Pleasure Beach, our home park, could learn a lot. I apologise if you can't hear me, the music is so loud, but yeah, I apologise for not filming that much so far today. Yeah, but Millennium, share my review quickly. It's my favourite of the two coasters. I'm just going to say it here, really smoothest Vekoma we've ever done, and pretty forceful around the inversions. And yeah, honestly, really enjoying this park. There we go, quite a area of the park slightly. I mean, we're on the car park, so it's not really a park, but done Odyssey again, further forward towards the front of the train, so I was thinking it'd be smoother, and it was the polar opposite. It was quite a bit rougher. First drop, massive jolt at the bottom, and yeah,
It was more jolty actually than Infusion in my opinion. Like, that thing shakes all over the place, or it did then. Less head banging, but there was still more head banging. Yeah, I just prefer Millennium really. I think you've overhyped it, Joshua Odyssey, a bit, unfortunately. I know, you know, similar happened with you and Shambhala. Just, you know, it's the way it is sometimes, I guess. Well, just not been much footage today, but the rides here really hard to get footage of because the operations are not too good. And yeah, it's kind of the end of the day now, so I guess I'll just review this part when I get home, to be honest. And, you know, future though, I will definitely do a vlog properly.
Well, that was short and sweet, wasn't it? I can only apologise. Obviously, I did visit Fantasy Island with my family. I didn't go with Josh or friends or anything like that. And I was still getting used to the place. So, yeah, those were a couple of reasons why I didn't film very much, except a couple of shots of Millennium and Odyssey. And there's also the fact that on-ride footage is really difficult to get within this park due to operations, but I'll get into that more in a minute. But in case you couldn't tell already, I'm going to do more of a review style video about this park as a result of what I just mentioned. And what can I say, what a lovely place this really was. I went into Fantasy Island with reasonable expectations because I've heard a lot of good things about it, and for it to have exceeded my expectations, it's safe to say that I am very, very impressed with this park, and I would definitely consider it one of the top 5 parks in the UK, to be honest. Obviously, it's located in Inglemel, Skegness, in a rather weird location, actually right next to a main road. Now, you may be thinking, oh, well, many other seaside parks are located right next to main roads. For instance, Blackpool Pleasure Beach is surrounded by main roads and is built on top of a main road, in fact, at one point. However, unlike Pleasure Beach, there's no perimeter fence around this place, and there's no turnstiles at the entrance or anything. You've literally got a main road next to this place, and then you take 5 steps to your left and you're underneath the lift hill of Millennium. It is very weird, but I feel like that this sort of business model benefits them and could benefit a lot of other seaside parks such as Blackpool in a very positive way. So as I'm sure you've guessed by now, this park is a free to enter park, and you can either pay per ride or get a wristband. And honestly, if you're going to do more than 4 rides, just get a wristband because they are an absolute bargain. Now, these wristbands operate on a tiered system. There's 3 tiers of wristbands, with the lowest tier priced at the cheapest, but mainly intended for little ones who are only going to go on some of the smaller rides, all the way up to the Discovery wristband, which grants you access to all rides, including the thrill rides. Now, the Discovery wristband is priced at the absolute bargain cost of just £22 and 5p. And for what you get at this place, that is insane value for money, because honestly, some of these attractions are just, I don't know why they're not talked about more. And it gets even better still. A 2-day Discovery wristband is priced at just over £33. Now, don't get me wrong, this is only a 1-day park, really, Fantasy Island. It's not the biggest place, but I just can't believe for what you get, that is so cheap. And then you've got parks like Blackpool Pleasure Beach and Alton Towers and Fort Park disgustingly pricing people out at like £40 or more for a ticket for a day. Which, don't get me wrong, all of those parks are better than Fantasy Island, but still, like, come to Fantasy Island, everyone. Therefore, it was no surprise that this place on a Sunday, even in the afternoon, had a fair few people milling about it, bearing in mind we're not in the school holidays yet. And this was despite most of the rides having a very short queue. So just picture all that secondary spending, especially when considering the fact that the park's also got a market running through it. Europe's largest 7-day market, to be precise. There's a massive arcade inside. If this was Blackpool Pleasure Beach, all the rides would have been walk-on, but the park would have been an absolute ghost town. Therefore, this just goes to show how much a free entry system or non-rider pass system could benefit Pleasure Beach. As for the rides themselves, obviously the 2 standout rides are Millennium and Odyssey. Odyssey, as I said, I enjoyed, but I did find the second ride on it to be quite rough. Therefore, I would say it did underwhelm slightly, but Millennium, on the other hand, actually exceeded my expectations, as it was a lot more forceful than I thought it would be. And it may or may not make my UK top 10. I'd have to go back and reevaluate, as I'm not sure. And as for Odyssey, that wouldn't be far off either. Volcano, which, as I said at the start of the vlog, is an S&S shop tower that is actually operating at the moment, was very good and better than its counterpart that is currently still sat in bits doing absolutely nothing. The reason for that is I found it to have quite a bit more airtime at the top. However, with that being said, it still isn't the best S&S shop tower I've done. I personally think Cliffhanger at Flamingo Land is better due to the fact that it has the drop sequence as well as the shop sequence. And the same goes for Doctor Doom's Fearfall at Universal's Islands of Adventure, which doesn't have the drop sequence but does provide a little bit more airtime still on the shot up. And the thing that I was possibly most impressed by at Fantasy Island and left me screaming at other parks to do something similar about was the pyramid, which is a lot bigger than I was expecting. A huge indoor area that houses around about half of the park. There was so many attractions in that area and it was so well themed. Like, honestly, the architecture of that thing is pretty impressive with how much they managed to fit in, and all of the dark rides in there were incredible and exceeded my expectations as well. It's clear that the park really have looked after them. My favourite was definitely the Harrington Flint shooting ride, but Sea Aquarium and Toucan Tours were very good as well. And honestly, I'd go as far as to say that all three of them were better than some of the dark rides you get at the Merlin parks. Like Hex at Alton Towers, in my eyes, has got nothing on any of the dark rides at Fantasy Island. I've also got to shout out the lovely staff at this park. Some of the nicest theme park staff I've ever met, and this doesn't just go for one or two staff members. This goes for practically every staff member we interacted with on the day of our visit, particularly the ride hosts and ride operators. Like, they obviously realised I was visually impaired and stuff and were constantly helping me and whatnot, especially getting on and off Harrington Flint, as I nearly tripped over, as the part where you scan your wristband to get on that ride is like millimetres away from a couple of steps, and I wasn't expecting that. And yeah, they were just overall very friendly and talkative, particularly the guy on the Guardian as well, which is the RoboArm simulator ride that's located within the pyramid. If only the operations themselves on the rides were a little better though, because I'm not going to beat it around the bush or anything. Operations at that park are pretty terrible. On Millennium and Odyssey, they're operating on one train, which if they only have one train, fair enough, but that train consistently is sat in the station for about 5 minutes between each cycle, and there's just no excuse for that really. And you may say, well, oh, the rides will walk on anyway, but that's not the point really. It's guest experience. Volcano, the shop tower, was walk on. However, the staff were taking so long to check restraints and send the ride, we ended up waiting about 10 minutes for it, and that was despite me being stood at the front of the line. And it made filming very frustrating as well, and as I said, that's one of the reasons why I barely have any footage of this park, because whenever I was out and about, there was rarely ever a ride going round because the staff were taking so long to check the restraints and forcing them down in some cases as well, which slowed down operations. Another slight criticism I have with this park is, although there's market stalls all around it, there's barely any merchandise whatsoever for it, so it would be nice if they could work on that. And also accessibility. There's a lot of steps I noticed around this park, not so much on the pathways and stuff, but in terms of getting on and off rides, it really wasn't great, especially for the rides in the pyramid. And I understand that the rides at this park are crammed into a pretty small space, but it really is something that needs worked on pretty urgently. They also don't have a virtual queuing system like RAP for disabled guests. However, this is less of an issue in my opinion based on the queue times I saw. However, I do believe that for wheelchair users, they can get on rides at the exit to have a more accessible way of getting on and off. And the ride staff, as I said, were very helpful with me and my visual impairment, so they're doing everything they can. But the management of Fantasy Island really do need to consider accessibility a bit more going forward, in my opinion. For further information regarding accessibility at Fantasy Island, I will put a link in the description to the dedicated page for this on the Fantasy Island website. Here we are then with a lodge tour at Kenwick Park. I'll put a link to this accommodation in the description, so if you are interested then definitely go and check that out. First of all, I should show you the room key. There you go. Your lovely accommodation, Kenwick Park. And then you turn this over and it gives you QR code to book activities, because guess what guys, they do activities at this place, like frisbee golf, which we're going to be doing later, and the swimming as well. We're not doing swimming though. Here is the view we are presented with when we first enter the cabin, aka a white wall. But if we turn to the left here, we're entering the living room, which, you know, pretty nice. You've got your table here where you can, I guess, eat some scran and stuff, and yeah, obviously a couple of sofas, a whatever you call it, a coffee table, I didn't even know, but yeah, we'll make our way over here and into a bedroom with 2 single beds, and obviously if we come over here as well, we've got your charging plugs to charge your devices, such as phones that you may film a Fantasy Island vlog on. We've also got a switch as well here for a bedside light, and best of all, it's even got its very own ensuite, which I'm not actually tested yet. If we turn the light on though, we've obviously got sink, toilet, so yeah, that's all very good, and a fan as well, as I'm sure you can hear. Anyway, that's enough of that. Come back out into the living room, and we're going to make our way over now to the balcony, just to show you again quickly. This is obviously where I started the vlog. And yeah, very nice. Tables, chairs, and a very nice view out into the woods. All well and good. Yeah, and also, oops, nearly tripped then. If we come back over here, we've actually got a hot tub as well, but I believe you have to pay extra for that. So if you just come over here, yeah, there is a hot tub out here, and there's also like a little patio area as well out the front. Oh, and there's a mirror as well. Hello. So yeah, there you go. I say patio area, it's not, oh god, it's not really much, is it? But yeah, that's your view when you're entering the site. Then if we come around here, we've got a kitchen area with your kitchen facilities. It's obviously, you know, this is not a hotel or anything. It is self-service. I believe there is a hotel next to this though. And yeah, there's another window with a view out to the balcony and the forest that lies beyond. And then also, if we come back around here to where I started off this room tour, we have of course got another bedroom with a double bed. So, you know, those of you who want a double bed, those of you who need a double bed, guess what? You've got a double bed. And, believe it or not, another window as well, which again looks out into the garden. And you know what, while we're in here, for a laugh, let's give this bed a bed test. So, here we go. Yeah, I guess, you know, the mattress is quite firm, but yeah, you know, it's alright. Oh my god, just poked myself in the eye with a pillow then. Yeah, you can probably sleep in here just fine. And if I come around here, there's another, oh my god, sorry guys, I was pushing the door the wrong way then. But yeah, still in the double bed room here. Push open this door and there's another ensuite with a shower there, and a sink, and of course a toilet. So that is all well and good. And another thing I should say as well, Wi-Fi. Please be aware that some rooms at this establishment do not have Wi-Fi access. However, you can request a room with Wi-Fi, which is what we've done. And it's really good. Lightning fast. What you need to do for that is, on your key you'll get a Wi-Fi code, and if you go into your settings on your phone or whatever device you're using and go onto the Wi-Fi option, you need to select the network that corresponds to your room number. So we're room 140, so there'll be a network that says like Lodge 140 or whatever number you're staying in. You need to click that and then enter the code on your room key to access your Wi-Fi. But do I think you should visit Fantasy Island? It's a no-brainer. You absolutely should. Instead of throwing cash at the money-grabbing knobheads, if you know you know, why not go and support a smaller park that is clearly very passionate about what they do? Small parks like this really do need your support. Fantasy Island was a park that we so nearly lost 10 years ago. It went into administration, and thankfully the company that own it now, the Mellors Group, bought it and transformed it into the spectacular park we see today. But it just goes to show that with these parks, you've got to use them or lose them. I had an amazing time at this park, and as a result, I will definitely be visiting it at least once a year. Maybe even twice a year at a push, because I believe they do a really good Halloween event as well that I'd love to check out one day. And regarding any future developments at the park, I will be sure to cover those all on this channel. I'll definitely be doing plenty more videos surrounding this park going forward, including reviews for both Millennium and Odyssey. I know a lot of you still love the corporate entity malarkey though, which is why you need to go and check out this video on the right side of your screen, where I discuss all the accessibility information you need to be aware of before you ride Hyperia at Thorpe Park. And for more things theme park related in the UK and beyond, make sure you click the icon in the centre of your screen to subscribe.